Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Three Stacks in this thing, representing the squad, of course. And today we're gonna go over an update on my cubics. I actually put my foot into them big time. I did quite a few builds. I even did a hero build, like cubic heroes. I did the turbo version with the fusion guy, with this guy, Nova Trinity. I did the hand build. I did a couple other builds, like just a lot of different ones. A super quantum cubic. I think I did a Star Seraph build. Like just a lot of them. Just I think if you type in my team's name, Team King of Games, and then cubic, all of them should pop up. But this one is pure, just pure cubics. With a lot of emphasis on this guy right here. We're trying to turbo him out as quickly as possible. We're just trying to get him. He's one of the win conditions. This deck is really consistent right now. It has an insane amount of deck thinning that I didn't even expect. My expectations for how fast this deck would be were a little bit lower than what it actually is. But you know what? Let's just hop right into the main deck and we'll show you the spice. So, of course, when you're playing cubics, you always want to maximize on Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. This card is so insane. It's very nasty. It's just such a disgusting, amazing card. And it's so unexpected. This card is really what makes this deck so competitive. You can really steal a lot of wins against a lot of decks. You can even guarantee ties, guarantee wins. This guy is insane. He's literally like he's unaffected by monster effects, whose attack is equal to or less than. So anything that has 3,000 attack or less cannot do anything to him. Monsters, right? Only monsters, not spells and traps. That'd be too amazing. If he attacks and destroys a monster by battle, he can attack again. And then during your end phase, each player takes 3,000 damage, in effect damage. So when you are low in life points and your opponent has 3,000 or less, you can make the match forcibly end on a draw. You can't Valor him or anything like that. He's just insane. Like you can force draws. You can even win just by attacking for enough damage and then going to the end phase and burning your opponent. This card is just insane. Like he's really stupid, like stupid good. He's just oof. Oh my god. You really don't go into your extra deck that much, and he's the main reason why. Because this is just how you win the games. You have him with your cubic wave. Game time. Anybody that plays cubics, they know what I'm talking about. So you have 3 lords, and then we have 3 Dujas. So I'm gonna put it like this. So we have 3 Dujas. Duja is insane. If we didn't get Duja, this deck would not be as consistent as it is right now. Duja is basically a Foolish Burial for any cubic card. And he helps out a lot. He can beef himself up, but he's always just going to be sending Karma and Wave and Unification. He's really good on legs. He's just like a Rhoda, basically, because he's going to dump the spell that searches. We also maximized on the Summoner Monks for this profile because Summoner Monk equals Duja and Duja equals the chains. Summoner Monk plus a spell will set you up so well, it's crazy. Like it's a 2-card combo, and it's only possible now because we are in Link format. So Monk is absolutely a must-have, 3 of in this case. We also play 3 Vijam, the Cubic Seed. Everything kind of revolves around him. A lot of effects specify his name. You can think of him like how Mask Heroes kind of just thrive off of, that Shadow Mist, for example. Or, there's certain decks that just literally thrive off of that one monster based on its specific name. A lot of effects say Vijam the Seed, Vijam the Seed. He's really important, and I think they named him Seed properly. He kind of is just like the core component of the deck's playstyle. He's very crucial, very essential. Not necessarily a focal point. There's no real focal point to this deck. You just kind of is weird. And then we have 2 Gira Gaia. Gaia... So there's like lines with cubics. There's levels to it and everything. I went the lineage of royalty. I went for the kings and the emperor. But there are beasts and behemoths as well. And basically you have to send a certain number of cubics to your grave that you control to your grave in order to summon them. This guy sends 1 cubic monster to summon him. And when he summons, you inflict 800 damage to your opponent. And if he battles, he doesn't have to destroy a monster by battle. If he just battles, he summons 2 seeds from the grave and then searches out the evolution version of the king, which is Vulcan Dragni. Vulcan Dragni inflicts 800 as well on summon. And if he battles, he summons 3 seeds and he searches out the emperor from the deck. And the emperor is pretty insane. You summon him by sending 3 cubics that you control to the grave, and he inflicts 800 damage to your opponent. And the cool thing is these guys set you up for each other. So like this guy, you have to send 2 cubics to the grave to summon him, right? But Gaia summons 2 seeds from the grave and then searches him. So you get him and the condition to summon him, and then this guy will bring out 3 seeds and then search him. So it's not really as difficult as it looks. And then Emperor, he'll inflict 800 damage to your opponent. He has 2400 attack on summon. And then if he goes to the graveyard, basically by any means that your opponent did so, like he just has to be sent to the graveyard by your opponent. You can even crash him into another monster to kill him by battle. He will special summon 3 cubic monsters. I believe it's just 3 cubic monsters. Yeah, 3 cubic monsters from your graveyard, and then add a cubic card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you can bring out 3 seeds, you can bring out 3 Dujias. It's ideal to bring out 3 Dujias because you get all 3 of their effects and you get to search a lord. He's just insane. We also play Behemoth. Behemoth is busted. He comes out at 3000 and he can attack 3 times. 3000 beater that can attack 3 times. And then he has the same condition as Emperor. You have to send 3 to summon him. And then if he goes to the grave by any means through your opponent, he'll special 3 and search. Or even add from the graveyard to hand. So those are your cubic monsters. That pretty much sums up the monster count. If you want to play competitive, shout out to my boy Trail. My homeboy Trail, that's part of Team APS. He's big on cubics. He's probably watching this too. We kind of discussed a lot of things on cubics, especially when they first came out. He's loved the deck. Like, honestly, I feel he loves the deck more than I love it. He plays it competitive. If you want to get a build that can play hand traps, he has a build that runs hand traps and impermanence and probably evenly and all that good stuff. This is a pure going second build. Really, like, that's how cubics are. This build isn't particularly catered to going second, but I'll say it like this. This deck's playstyle is like you want to go second because it doesn't really matter what kind of defensive front your opponent puts. It doesn't matter that a Goki player extra links you. It doesn't even matter. So now we're going to spells. The win condition spell is 3 cubic waves. Now, what wave does is it targets a cubic and a face-up monster your opponent controls. So the face-up monster your opponent controls has his attack halved, and then your cubic monster has his attack doubled. You really want to use it on Lord because whatever monster you're targeting, it doesn't really matter because he's going to become a 6000 beater, and it's permanent. His attack stays 6000 so long as he doesn't leave the field by any means, right? So you turn him from a 3000 beater to a 6000 beater. There are even times when I've got him up to 12,000. I've never got him to 24,000, but this deck can create the largest beaters basically in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like there's really like there's nothing I can think of that like literally does that. Like you can even go to 48,000 if you use the bigger guy Behemoth or even Emperor to add the wave from grave to hand and then do it again. You can go up to 48,000 attack. 48,000 attack is the max cap off for this deck. It's already overdone when you make a guy a 6,000 beater, but that's never enough. You always want to use it on Lord. So it shrinks one and doubles the other. It's not hard once per turn. And then it has an amazing graveyard effect. So this deck also operates with things called cubic counters. What cubic counters do is basically Phoenix Chain monsters. They can't really like do much with them, right? You can link some with them, etc. So it banishes itself from the grave in any number of cubics, and it distributes an equal amount of cubic counters amongst monsters that your opponent controls up to the number of cubics that you banish. So if you banish 3, you put 3 cubic counters on 3 different monsters, and they can't do anything. They can't activate their effects or anything like that. They're just sitting there. They're just monsters on field. They're link materials at that point. So its graveyard effect is pretty amazing as well. It can help you to give a solid kind of control component to this deck's playstyle, but this deck doesn't really play control. It doesn't need to, but that's icing on the cake. This spell's that broken. You want to play 3 cubic waves. Next, we are playing 3 Foolish Burial Goods. Foolish Burial Goods is broken in this deck. You have, 3, 6, 9, 10 targets for Foolish Burial Goods. It's never really dead. It's basically a Duja that's not on legs, but you normally want to activate this, dump Karma, banish Karma, search Duja, and then summon Duja and dump the trap, and you get a really, really amazing snowball effect that happens because of the trap. We'll get to that as well. This deck has some powerful tools in its arsenal. Foolish Burial Goods is an absolute must-have 3 of. You want to maximize sending your spells and traps that have cubic in their name. They have amazing graveyard effects that work the same turn that they were sent. Then we have 3 copies of Cubic Karma. On activation, it will enhance a cubic's attack by sending as many seeds as possible from your deck to grave, and it will enhance that monster's attack by 800 per seed. So if you send 3 seeds, you'll boost a cubic monster by 2400 attack. So you can go Karma on your Emperor. I'm sorry, Karma on your Lord. He will become a 5,400 beater. You activate a wave. He goes to 10,800 attack. If that's not enough, you can activate another wave and put him at 21,600 attack. That's a lot better than 12,000, honestly. But yeah, you can make him basically like the biggest beater ever. And then it also has another effect that says if you summon a seed during your opponent's turn, you get to send this card to the grave and half your opponent's life points. That is so easy to do thanks to Yugioh being able to dump this trap, and this trap summons any cubic ignoring its summoning conditions. So if your opponent makes any cubic monster leave the field by any means necessary, you can summon a seed and then activate Karma's effect, send itself to the grave for cost, and then half your opponent's life points. If they're at 8,000, now they're at 4,000. If they're anything less than 8,000, they will go into the danger zone to where if you go into end phase with this guy, you just win because he burns for 3,000. So this deck can burn a lot better than Cubics, a lot better than Trickstars can, and it can get the job done faster than Chain Burn can as well. So one of its other win conditions is this deck can burn your opponent to death, and it doesn't take long. It can be done in one turn or two. It can be done some of the work on your opponent's turn and the other on your turn. But halving the opponent's life points is the best effect of this card. Then it has another effect. It has a third effect. You can banish it from grave to add a cubic monster from your deck to your hand. I believe it's monster. Yeah, you banish it from grave to add a cubic monster from your deck to your hand. But it's insane that you can half your opponent's life points. That's the best effect to me. Halving life points, like that's stupid. In the match procedures, and then you summon your little guys. You're inflicting 800 damage on summon. Then you're burning for 3,000 during the end phase. This deck is crazy good. It's too aggressive, honestly. And then you have more cards for the engine. This kind of goes in the category of searchers. So you have your Foolish Barrel Goods, which is a searcher. You have your Triple Cubic Karma, which is another searcher. Then you have Fusion Conscription. So what Fusion Conscription does is literally just reveal this guy and then search this guy. It's really important to do so because you're setting yourself up for your OTK next turn. This is really good when you have to go first because this deck likes to go second. If you have to go first, you're going to activate a conscription and search out a cubic lord. That is all it's going to do. It's going to search lords. So it ups your count of lords and your count of cubic cards by 3. Because in order to summon lord, you also have to reveal 3 cubic cards with different names. So if you have this in hand and 2 other cubic cards, you can even activate this to become the 3rd cubic card that you need in order to meet the summoning conditions for your lord. So it's pretty flexible in that regard. It's decent. I like it a lot. It's a must-have 3 for me. So you have your 9 searchers, and then you got some draw power. You have 3 Allures of Darkness. You have a lot of darks in this deck, and also keep in mind that your darks are searchable. So you don't really have to imagine that this is a dead card. Think of it. A Blue Eyes player who has 8 level 8s will play 3 trade-ins, and it's never really going to break. You got 3 alternatives, 3 Blue Eyes, and the 2 spirits. This deck plays 9 targets, and they're searchable. So Allure is just absolutely amazing in this deck. It's a good, comfortable slot as a 3-of to help you to get draw power, because this deck does not have any draw power in its arsenal. Like, there's no cubic cards that let you draw. It only searches. So kind of being able to draw to see some better combo pieces, it helps you out a lot. 3 Allures. Then we also have 2 Fusion Recycling Plants. What this does is literally discard a card for cost and search Poly. So it does 2 jobs for you. It will search your Poly, and it'll also discard those dead extra bricky cubic cards in your hand, like Waves, Karmas, and Unifications. If you have any of those 9 cards in hand, this card will put them in the grave where they belong and get you a Poly. So it does 2 things. And the main reason for playing this over the Fusion, the King of the Swamps, I used to play King of the Swamps. The main reason for playing this over that is because you will draw, like the trap, you will draw Waves, you will draw Karmas, and if you don't have anything to meet the activation requirements, you want to get their other effect in grave, which will benefit you in one way, shape, or form by searching, replenishing a resource, or even setting you up for the lock that Wave provides. So this card is really good, and even if it gets Ulrid or Ash, I don't even care. I just only care that it discards for cost. And it adds Poly from deck or graveyard to hand, so it's never not going to have a legitimate target to search. Then for your next 2-of, we play 2 Hand Destruction. The reason why I play 2 Hand Destruction is because, 1, it messes up and screws up a lot of plays for other competitive decks, especially decks that need to search their combo pieces first before they can go off. You can force them to discard some of their best cards from hand to grave, and it does allow them to draw 2. I don't care much about that. This card is really, really good. And it also fixes my hand because I will have one too many cubic cards or dead unifications or even an emperor that I can't summon, and I'll be able to pitch to and draw to, fix my hand. And because it's quick play, it can be set as a bluff, and you can use it reactively on your opponent's turn to disrupt their plays. It's kind of like a mini reincarnation in that regard. So I like hand destruction a lot. I really think that it's worth the slot. And then we also play 2 recurring nightmares because you want to add your seeds and your lords back from grave to hand. That's really all it's going to do, especially when you resolve Poly, because this deck turbos out the Lord, and you're able to search him like really excessively. And I do play a build that's able to summon this guy. We'll get to him in the extra deck. He's amazing. Once you summon him, you have to get rid of all 3 of your Lords. So you need to grab a Lord from graveyard back with this so you can summon your Lord, and then you get to burn your opponent for 6,000 during the end phase. Like, you get to attack 5 times. You attack 4 times, twice with this, twice with Lord, and then you still get to inflict 6,000 damage to your opponent. On top of that, this guy halves your opponent's life points on attack declaration. So all you really need to do is declare an attack with this guy and then end your turn and you'll win. Then we have the 1 Poly. All you need is 1. I hate to brick on it. That's why I only play 1, and if I need it, I can always fetch it from graveyard with my field spell. So the 1 Poly works perfectly. Just playing 1 helps me to not brick. I want this deck to be as consistent as possible. We do play Manifold's Fusion. It can be sent via Foolish Burial Goods, or even if you hard draw it, it will not be dead because you can discard it with your Fusion Recycling Plant. So I really like it a lot. It's a really, really nice one-of in the deck. And again, like I was saying, this deck needs draw power. Then we also play 1 Terraforming solely because we want to search out the field spell. I didn't want to literally play 3 Cycling Repair Plants. I just wanted the option of deck thinning, kind of shuffling your deck first before you draw. That helps you to draw better cards. And the only trap we play in this deck is the best trap of them all, Unification. So its activation effect you rarely use, but it lets you fusion summon. You don't really use that, but you can catch people off guard by summoning Trinity on their turn. But its best effect is Engrave. So Engrave, if a cubic monster leaves the field, it does not have to be a card effect. It does not have to be battle. It literally says if a cubic monster leaves the field. So no matter where it goes, you're going to be able to activate this effect. You banish this card from grave for cost, and special 1 cubic from your hand or your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And it has to be level 4 or lower. So what you want to do is loop this with Yugioh. You want to use this, summon a Yugioh, use Yugioh, dump this, and then banish it, summon a Yugioh, until you run out into your last one. On your 3rd unification, you're going to summon Emperor or Behemoth, ignoring their summoning conditions, and then when they leave the field to the grave, they will special triple Yugioh, grab you the Surge, and then Yugiohs will also grant you the triple Foolish, which will dump more karmas and more waves, and you'll get searches, and you'll be able to OTK guaranteed. It's guaranteed. So that's amazing. It's one of the best cards in the deck. This trap really makes this deck amazing, and this trap was not that good until Yugioh came out. This is part of the 2-card combo with Monk and a spell. So that's it for your main deck. I was even going to play Magical Contractors, but I was like, they're not ready for this spice. They are not ready for this spice. I'm saving these for my Grinder Golem Turbo deck. I'm trying to make just a deck from scraps. I want to do a Grinder Golem Turbo deck. Like, why not? Extra deck is not complete, but you don't actually really go into it that much. So we have Nova Trinity. Basically, you have to use 3 Lords to summon him. And what he does is he can't be targeted or destroyed by anything. And also, if he declares an attack, he halves your opponent's life points on attack declaration. You can't impermanence him. You can't Valor him. He can't be targeted anyways. So he has 4,500 attack. If he attacks, he halves your opponent's life points. And he can also attack how many times? Oh, yeah. And then also, this card can make a 2nd attack during the battle phase. And also, while he's on the field, you take no effect damage. So Trickstars can't burn you either. And then it gets better. Inflict damage, it's like this. If you take effect damage, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. So you do take damage, but your opponent takes it with you. So what happens is you summon this guy, you attack, you half their life points. You attack again, you half their life points. You normally just kill them. If they're not dead, that's why I like playing Recurring Nightmare. When you summon this guy, you dump the 3 Lords, and then you'll grab 2 Lords off of a Recurring Nightmare. You reveal special him. Then you get to attack, and then use your Lord and also attack, do your 4 attacks. And remember, on attack declaration, you have life points. Normally, you already in the duel in battle phase. You're not going to, there's no way that your opponent's going to live through that. And if you have a wave, you can put this guy or this guy. Because this guy can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, but he can by yours. So you can even wave him up to 9,000, wave him up to 6,000. You're gonna attack, 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 half your opponent's life points twice. And then if it's still not enough, if it's still not gained, during the end phase, we both take 3,000 off of Lord, because that's his effect. But because you're taking damage, this guy will inflict 3,000 to your opponent again. So it is absolutely guaranteed that you are going to win. There's no way around it. There's not even a counter argument to it. Like, it's going to happen. So this guy's amazing. The main reason why I even play Polys is because I love him. He's a win condition. It's kind of like an Exodia, but just in different words. Then we have one of the doors. I'm supposed to have the other one that inflicts 2,000 damage, but I was like, why do I need that? If you have 2 lords on board, you already have game. The only way to make that is with 2 lords. So I opted to go to this one because this one makes it unaffected by all card effects, which is really good. Then we have Kergorgan, kind of just some fillers. I don't really make these cards, but I really do make this card a lot. And then we have some links. These links are, well, the Goblin is here certainly because you do end up needing that second normal summon for the second Yugioh. Like, if you don't have 3 Yugiohs in your deck, the Summoner Monk combo is not that easy to do, but Goblin makes it easier. But these are really here for the combo where you go Monk with the spell. That's all you really use these for. You just link climb. If you're wondering where Firewall and Warlord and Skull Dread and Topologic Bomber, especially Topologic Bomber, is good with this deck because you use the trap on your opponent's turn to summon from your deck, trigger its effect, destroy everything. Those are all sold. I sold those in my binder. But if you have Topo, play Topo in this deck because you can trigger it on your opponent's turn. And your Cubic that gets summoned from the trap, I forgot to tell you, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects the turn it's summoned via this effect. So if you summon a Cubic through the trap on a column that Topo has, it'll basically just Raigeki your opponent. And if you guys want to see the Summoner Monks plus spell combo, you can either leave it in the comment section below or just watch my most recent Cubic deck profile because I showed you guys the combo in that profile particularly. But I don't want this profile to be too long. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Definitely stay tuned for future content. If you guys love Cubics, I'm positive that you will love this build. Don't share the spice. Keep this a secret. This is an amazing card. It's an amazing tech, the contract door. But other than that, peace out, y'all. Moving forward to the next profile.